Okay, so recently I was asked about potty training. It's actually a very common question I get asked. Um, Potty training is actually a fairly simple process, but it also can be very frustrating and take a long time. The very first thing you need to do is reinforce the behavior. By definition, reinforcement is something you do to increase the behavior to happen again, which is why we do the rewards. We want them to go to the bathroom outside, so we start rewarding them outside whenever they do that behavior. So, we uh, so we will reward them and praise them whenever they go. It doesn't mean that you have to like run up to them while they're in the process of doing their business. But you start going, good job, and then as soon as they're done, they'll run up to you and you give them their treat. Now, on the other side of that, the punishment side, there are some myths with what to do. And in fact, really, there's not much punishment you can do. It is a natural body process that the animal's doing. They aren't going inside to spite you. There is no actual understanding of why that's bad. What we're doing is making sure that it happens less often by reinforcing other behaviors instead. So, there's a few problems that can happen, like if you a lot of people have heard shove their face in it. Well, usually the problem is they don't associate their behavior with that. They just associate you not liking whatever it is that you're shoving their face in. And this can create basically I believe it's cecaphasia. So, what happens is they get a neurotic disorder because they just get so freaked out whenever they see feces that they actually will just start to eat it not just out of fear, because that's the only way they know how to get rid of it. So that's one side effect to doing that punishment thing. Plus, usually they just don't associate it. Unless it's happening right that exact second, there's not going to be an association of what they did with the fact that there's a big pile of poo there. So really, punishment just doesn't work like people think it does. Now, if you do catch them in the act, I suggest you make a little bit of a scene, but just get them and try to get them outside. You might have a trail going along the way, but get them outside to finish their business outside. And then when they do it outside, you need to reward that. Now, so that's what you need to do. You need to reward. Even if it's cold out, if the dog's going outside, you're going outside until that behavior is locked in, because you need to make sure that they're going. Now, another reason for you going outside, a lot of times people will be, oh, well, the puppy went outside and it was playing, and then it came inside and went to the bathroom. I have an analogy with little kids on this scenario. Imagine a toddler kind of that's being potty trained themselves. They're in the little pull-up diapers, kind of that halfway phase. Well, if they're active, then they're not going to notice, oh, wait, I have to go. So what happens is they go outside, the puppy starts playing, but they're too excited to actually think about what they need to do. They come inside, they get bored, and then, oh yeah, I have to go to the bathroom. And that's usually what happens. So that's one reason why you need to be out there, to make sure that they're actually doing their thing rather than just playing around and getting distracted from their own bodily needs until they get bored and then they need to go. Now, that also gets into bladder training. So the bladder, an animal, a dog, doesn't need to train their bladder that much in the wild. They can go where they want. So we have to actually teach them how to train that. So for that, I also suggest kenneling. Now, the kennel that they get kenneled in, it has to be large enough, obviously, that they're comfortable and can stand up, turn around, do all those things that they need to do to stretch out. But it also has to be small enough that they can't get away from any messes they make. And that's a key point. If they can get away from it, then they're just going to go in the far corner and then turn that into their bathroom and the other side into their sleeping area. So it needs to be small enough that they can't do that. So that way they actually start learning to hold it. That's training the bladder, because those muscles and those nerves down in the bladder need to learn that, oh, we can go a little bit more before we actually have to go. So kenneling is a big factor when you have a baby puppy. Now, on that note, the pup, if it's depending on the age of the dog, you might be needing to let it out a lot. If it's a 3 or 4 month old puppy, it has a very tiny bladder and it's ingesting a lot because it's growing. It could potentially need to go out every hour on the hour. So you have to be ready, because if the more accidents that happen inside, the more it's learning that it can go to the bathroom inside the house versus outside the house. Now, another little nuance, a couple little nuance things. Puppy pee pads, they have their purpose. They are perfectly fine for their needs. The problem is most people use them past their needs, and animals tend to be very textural about where they go. Cats needs can be very specific as far as what kind of litter, and if you don't have the right kind of litter, they'll go right outside, find something else they prefer. But also, we're training the dog to want things like grass and dirt underneath their feet to go to the bathroom. That is what we're training them to do. When you use puppy pee pads, that feels like, guess what it feels like? Oh wait, you can't respond, it's an internet. It feels like carpet. So when you're using puppy pee pads, you're actually training them to have a soft little fabric feeling under their feet to go to the bathroom, which is why oftentimes when they're trained to go on pee pads, you have to retrain them again and start basically from scratch to teach them to go outside. There's these things called wee-wee pads that I kind of like. You can look online. They basically look like AstroTurf, fake grass that the dog will go in. If you have to go inside or they have to have them inside, I prefer that because at least the sensation's closer to what they feel outside. And the big thing is it doesn't match up with any other materials in the house. Unless you have AstroTurf carpeting all over the place, you're pretty much just going to be pretty safe that dog is going to go there instead of the carpet. Also, another little nuance I would do is baby gates. Dogs will learn, okay, you don't want me to go here, but I went over there and I didn't get yelled at, so I'm just going to go over there. They don't understand, oh, no, the whole house is not allowed. And each time they do it and get away with it, that's learning on their part. So you don't want them to learn. So you need to make sure that everybody's monitoring the dog, or particularly the puppy, at all times, so that you can, as soon as you see the sign, because there's also always a sign, that sniffing behavior, like, oh, so many times you'll see your dog and be like, oh, they gotta go, we gotta go, take them out now. You start seeing those signs, do it right then. And finally, bells. You can actually hang bells on the door that the dog uses to go in and out. And every time you go out, ring the bell. And if the dog rings the bell, if it goes up and just knocks it or plays with it, I want you to reward it and send it outside. It's really easy for the dog to figure out, oh, when that bell rings, the human opens the door, and I get to go outside. Now, that doesn't mean that they'll only ring the bell when they need to go to the bathroom, because once they figure out that opens the door, that's going to be their cue, like, I want to go outside and play. Which is perfectly fine. It's their way of communicating, I want to go outside, but it's really hard to differentiate that I need to go outside and go potty versus I need to go out. However, as long as the dog's letting you know it needs to go outside and isn't having accidents in the house, it's not that big a deal to just spend a few minutes a day letting them out a couple extra times. All right, if you have any questions on anything that I covered today, if you want more detail on any of those aspects, let me know. If you're really having a hard time and you need my help, go ahead. You can book some sessions with me. I sell them in packages, but you can actually buy them on the low end, and kind of we can grow together. So basically, you buy the one packet, the single session, and then you're like, you know what, we want to do some more. So you upgrade to the 3 sessions, which was from 1 to 3 is 2 more, and we just upgrade as we go, so that it's a nice, cheaper per session as the longer you stick with it and the more we're willing to work with the pup. So I hope to see you again, and if you have any questions about animal behavior, dog training, or any animal training really, go ahead, send them my way, and I can either get back with you or possibly make our next video. You all have a great rest of your day.